Okay, great. I'll go back and take my seat. And of course, if something's not going right, one of you please let me know. Let me get my glasses. All righty. All right, well, let's go ahead and take a comfortable seat. I'll pull up my reading. Yeah, so I really feel drawn to this transition period. It's got me very intrigued. And it's also, you know, it's made me contemplative of how I want to move forward and in what ways I want to change something. What about you? What about you? So go ahead and take your comfortable seat this morning. Find the ground. Lengthen your spine towards the sky. And drop into the presence of your breath. As you drop into your breath, bring in either your Ujjayi breathing or that balanced inhale and exhale. And whichever breath you choose, focus on making the breath smooth. As you work to make your breath smooth, can you also smooth the transitions between the inhale and the exhale? They're part of the whole circle. So this is written by David White. It's called Beginning. It is always hard to believe that the courageous step is so close to us, that it is closer than we ever could imagine, that in fact, we already know what it is, and that this step is simpler, more radical than we had thought. Just sitting down to the desk, just picking up the instrument or the phone, which is why we so often prefer to live in an almost world. Why we prefer the story to be more elaborate, our identities to be safely clouded by fear. Why we want the horizon to remain always in the distance. The promise never fully and simply made. The essay longer than it needs to be, and the answer safely in the realm of impossibility. At the bottom of your next exhale, you can let go of any control on your breath, but keeping your awareness in where your body is moving. Bring in your hands in Anjali Mudra. I'll open the practice by chanting the sound of Om, and you're welcome to join me. And then I'm going to sing Sahana Vavatu Sahanao Bhunaktu Saha Vidyam Karava Va'ai Teja Svina Tamastu Ma Vivisha Va'ai. Together, may we be protected. Together, may we be nourished. May our practice have great energy. And may this help illuminate and dispel any darkness. May we be able to see better the light. And may we not hate or dispel one another. Take a deep inhale. Sahana Vavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Savidyam Karava Vai Tejasvina Varim Tamastu Ma Vivyasha Vai. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. With your next exhale, you're welcome to bow your head towards your heart. Release your hands and lift your gaze. All right, so let's either come into Virasana. If sitting in Virasana, your knees are not happy, then I would just say, go ahead and take the legs straight and put a blanket under the knees. If sitting in Virasana works for you, you can move your blankets out of the way. Take one of your blocks, put it back between the heels. You're going to need your second block in a moment. Some of you might need 2 blocks to sit upon. Make space at the back of the knee. And then we'll come down to sitting Virasana or Hero's Pose. Let's take your block off to your right. And then go ahead and inhale the arms wide. Exhale, bring them forward. Inhale, draw them in. Exhale, push them away. Your inhale, lift your arms. Stay there with another full breath. There's the inhale, you stay, and your next exhale, release the arms, begin to turn towards your, what is that, your right. Come back to center. You might take your block with you, so you can move it over to the other side. Once again, let's inhale wide. Exhale, change the class. Inhale, exhale, inhale. Your next exhale, release the hands, and from right above the navel, start to turn. So left hand behind, right hand across. Another inhale, and then exhale. Come back to center. Great. So if you're uncomfortable seated like this, please go back to a comfortable seat. That could be back to sitting cross-legged or the legs straight, or maybe you're fine as you are. I want to bring some awareness to the front of the throat, to the hyoid bone that's at the front of your throat. And this bone at the front of the throat is not, it doesn't articulate with any other bones. It's floating in the throat. It's just attached by muscles and ligaments. It is the very related really closely, intimately with swallowing, speaking, gargling, singing. The hyoid is important for moving. So if someone's had an injury to this area, sometimes that injury can result in their inability to really gargle. Their voice may change some, and it may be difficult. They don't sing at all. Like they say, oh, I can't. So it's also deeply related to the front of the spine, the whole front of the spine, and the deep front line of the spine. It's a cue for what's happening through that core support in us. So if you take your hand and you can, if you go to the edge of your jaw and you palpate just a little bit down, not far. So there's the edge of the jaw. I drop off the jaw and I'm in the throat. You're right there at the edge of the hyoid bone. And you might go ahead and swallow and see if you can feel something moving there. And I want you to close your eyes and place your awareness right here in the throat where this bone is. And then from this place, can you go ahead from here and draw this a little back in your body, back in your throat. And when you do, I just want you to see if you notice something changes in relationship to maybe the length through the back body, maybe a change in the position of your head by this hyoid, how we move from here. And then go ahead and relax your arm and notice, just notice your posture for a moment. And take in a deep breath. Great. And relax. So, we spend a lot of time, we are spending, we've always been spending a lot of time looking at our phones. So we end up like here a lot. We're also spending a lot of time here right now, as we eagerly, in standing up, whatever, we could be seated, we are reaching out, like, what are you going to do? What's going on? And we end up really reaching forward here. And when I reach forward like this, and you can try this, if you lead with your chin, if you take your chin and lead it forward, just notice what happens in the space of your heart. Do you feel the heart turn a little bit down when you lead with your chin? That's kind of what I feel in my body. And sometimes we tell people, like, sometimes we go, draw your chin down. Bring your chin down. Your chin is too forward, so you pull the chin back. But there's a real hardness that comes sometimes through the neck right there. Or we say, pull your skull back. And again, there can be some tension that shows up in the front of the neck. So I just want to encourage you to come into this place that's at the hyoid, that's in the throat, and use this a little bit to see if you can connect into this place and how it helps you in regards to movement. All right, so let's come on to all fours. We'll come off the block. If you're on one, you come out of your seat. You're going to come onto all fours. Let's go ahead and take right leg back, right toes tucked under. Let's open the back of the right calf. Lengthen through the crown. So when I do that, can I do that from really drawing the hyoid back in my throat and see if that is what happens? And then we'll relax that leg. Let's take the other leg back. Reaching back, stretching the left calf, drawing the hyoid back in the throat, inhaling. And then exhale, we'll put that knee down. Let's take another deep inhale. And exhale, let's go to cat. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Your inhale, plank. Exhale, you're going to bring the knees forward, down. Inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. Inhale, plank. Exhale, downward dog. Your inhale, plank. Your exhale, you pull the knees forward, they come down. Your inhale, cow. One more time, exhale, cat. Inhale, plank. Exhale, downward facing dog. Inhale, plank. Exhale, lower the knees. Inhale, cow. Exhale, let's just come to table. Inhale and table. Exhale, walk the hands back and just take a moment of sitting and draw your attention back into that place at the front of the throat. Drawing it back and see if you can get a little more awareness in the back of your body. Great. And then let's bring your blocks forward to the top of your mat. And go ahead and step right foot forward. Come into a low lunge with the back knee lifted. And here even, here I can bring my attention into that space of the hyoid bone. Step back, downward facing dog. You're welcome to keep your hands on your blocks. Inhale, left foot forward. Low lunge. Back into that space in my throat. I want to be aware. I want to be aware in my body, in my movement, in my speech. Inhale, step forward. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, halfway. Exhale, forward fold. Uttanasana. In this forward fold, go ahead, release your head. And let the neck release. And then let's take hands on the hips. Inhale, come up. And exhale, hands in front of the heart. Great. Relax the arms. And let's take a wide stance. Let's take a wide stance. We're going to take side angle pose. So a block at the right outer shin. Inhale, take the arms out. And exhale, Parsvakonasana, side angle. And what happens in your pose when you go ahead and put the awareness at the hyoid, at the back of the throat, draw it back. And let's inhale, come up. Let's spin our feet the other way. All right. Inhale the arms out when you're ready. Exhale, Parsvakonasana, side angle. Where's the hyoid? What did you do? And when you moved it back, what did that do to your pose? You know all the details of this amazing pose, opening the side body. Let's inhale, come up. Let's make the feet parallel, hands up on your hips. Lift through the top of your breastbone. Broaden across the collarbones. There's a little back bend right now. There's a little back bend right before we bow forward. So the position, you're going to draw the hyoid back. Inhale and exhale, start to bow forward. When the hamstrings say that's it, you release the arms to blocks or to the ground. Walk your hands out, downward dog arms. Balance the weight between the heel and the ball. Strongly reaching to the hands. Going back to that smooth quality of your breathing. Great. And then go ahead and walk the hands back. And let's take a twist. Let's take your right hand in the space between your two hands. Come back into that space in the throat. And when you're ready, inhale, twisting towards your left. Exhale to center. Switching hands. Reaching down. And inhale, turning. Reaching down. Reaching back. And exhale, bowing forward. Bowing all the way down. In this way of bowing forward, it's like there's an inner knowing. There's an inner knowing which way I'm going, what I want in my heart. And then inhale, bring the spine back out, and let's shift the hands up onto the hips. And come back up to standing. And we'll step the feet back together. And in Tadasana now, can you close your eyes, place your attention at that place, deep in the throat. Just draw that back slightly. Shine the palms forward. Notice the weight in your feet. May I be open. And I feel my back body and still feel a lift at the front of the heart. All right, great. And then we'll let that go. Let's see, let's come. Here's two options. I know my head is probably chopped off right now, but that's okay. One option is going to be seated on the ground, and one option is going to be using a chair. So if you have a chair, you're going to take the chair onto your mat. I'll show you. I'll show you the one on the floor as well. Let me see what people are doing so I get an idea here whether what most people are gravitating towards. I'm going to go to my bigger view. Okay, so I'll show you a chair position first, and then I'm going to show you the floor option. Okay. In the chair, we're going to do just an opener with Purvottanasana in the chair. Okay, cool. So go ahead, bring your hands back and grab onto the leg of the chair or the seat of the chair. And now bring your attention to that space of the hyoid in the throat. And can you draw that back a little in the throat? Yeah. Can you lift at the top of the breastbone? Can you roll towards the collarbones? Okay, so now you've got the hyoid, you've taken it back in the throat. Now, can you lift the head a little bit? Only if your neck says yes. And release. Let the hands come around. So if I was seated on the ground, same thing, I'd have my hands on the floor, fingers pointing forward, and I'd be doing the same lifting, shifting the hips a little. But it looks like, as far as I can tell, you guys are sitting in chairs. All right, my feet are parallel out on the floor in front of me. My ankles a little bit in front of my knee. My ankles a little bit in front of my heels. So the floor model, I show you the floor model in case you didn't have a chair and I just couldn't tell. The floor model is this, with the fingers pointing forward. Right, so this is the floor model. We can stay chair model, floor model. Here's the floor. You guys are going to stay in the chair because we're doing 2 more rounds, or you'll be seated on the ground. All right. So once again, reach the hands back. If you're on the floor, point the fingers forward toward your toes. Go to lift the top of the breastbone. Draw the hyoid back in the throat. Great. Yes. Base of the skull. If you're on the floor, you're going to shift your hips forward slightly. If you're seated in the chair, you might lift your hips up a little bit. And then if the hips are lifted in the chair, bring them down. Those of us on the floor will just scoop back, release the arms, either into the lap or holding the fronts of the knees. And just take a moment, breathing. What is the awareness like right at the back of the neck, base of the skull? Can we take one more Purvottanasana, either on the seated on the floor or the chair. So either reaching back, hands are either taking the legs of the chair or fingertips pointing forward towards the feet on the floor. All right. So drawing the hyoid back in the throat. And you all, if you're seated on the floor, you'll shift the hips forward slightly. If you're seated on the chair, you are lifting the hips up. Either one, we can, even those of us on the floor, we might lift the hips up. If we're seated in the chair, lift the hips. Yes. And then exhale, lower back down. Release your hands, either seated or in the chair. The hands come forward. And we're just resting in this seated position. Great. Okay, so those of you that are seated, go ahead and walk your feet around to the right side of your chair. So you're going to be seated, roll to the right. Those of you who are on the ground, we're going to go ahead. Let's see, those guys are twisting to the right. So we're going to twist to the right. We're going to take left leg straight if we're on the floor. Left leg straight, right foot. You guys seated in the chair, you're going to just, you can stay seated. We're just going to do a little twist. So if I'm seated on the ground, I've got my left leg straight, right knee bent. If I'm seated on the chair, I'm just seating tall. All of us, inhale deeply. Draw your attention into the throat. And exhale, you're turning towards your right. Great. Good. And then go ahead, come back to center. And switch sides. So if you're seated in the chair, you're going to walk yourself around so you're on the other side. If you're on the ground, you're going to straighten your right leg and bend your left knee. All right. But there we all are. Inhale up to the crown of the skull when you're ready. And exhale, rotating either towards the back of the chair or towards your bent knee. Where's the throat? What's happening through the throat? And how is that? How do I move from there as I twist? And then we're going to come back to center. Great. Now, let's all come up to standing. Those of you who had the chair, you can move your chair out of the way. We're going to bring blocks to the top of the mat to move through a sun salutation. All right. So, standing at the top of the mat, got your blocks all ready to roll. Bring your hands in front of your heart. Just notice the throat. And simply noticing, like, if you put your kinesthetic awareness in that place in the throat, draw it back. So we're really working with the inner body here, and I just want you to notice if the weight changed at all in the heels. Open your eyes toward the horizon. Release both arms. Inhale, lift both arms. You're welcome to lift your gaze. Exhale, forward fold. Your next inhale, halfway up. Exhale, right foot back. Low lunge. So before you come upright, just see if paying attention right there at the front of the throat can cue you a little about your balance. And then take the arms wide and rise. Lifting through the top of the breastbone. And inhale, lift both arms. Your next inhale, take your arms out, look toward the horizon. Exhale, then bow forward, plank pose. Inhale in your plank pose. Exhale, lightly touch the knees to the ground, bring your chest down. And you're going to come into cobra. Can you move from this place of the hyoid, of this bone in the throat? Draw it back and then begin to rise. And in cobra, exhale, lower. Inhale, all fours, plank, and downward facing dog or puppy. Another deep inhale. And with your next exhale, step your right foot forward. Draw the hyoid back in the throat. Inhale, come upright. Lifting through the chest. Inhale the arms out. There's the horizon again. Exhale, bow forward. Inhale, step forward. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale halfway. And exhale, bow. Inhale, rise. And exhale, hands in front of the heart. Inhale, lift both arms. Exhale, forward fold. This turning in, the heart turning in, everything turning in and down in the forward fold. The Uttanasana halfway, so you're in this Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, let's go downward facing dog. Or you can be puppy, that's totally fine. Puppy pose if downward dog isn't right. So if you're in puppy, you're going to go ahead and step your right foot forward. If you're in downward dog, lift your right leg. And exhale, bring it forward. Inhale, upright. And still paying attention to where the hyoid is. Inhale, the arms out. Exhale to plank. And then lightly touch the knees down and come all the way to the ground. Now go ahead and come up on your forearms for Sphinx pose. So if you'll place your forearms on the ground, the elbows are underneath your shoulders. Your wrists are the same width as your elbows. Palms are towards the ground. So we've been doing Sphinx pose quite a bit. And I want you to notice when you cue from the hyoid area. So bring your felt sense there. Draw it back. Okay. There's the low belly lifting away from the ground, right above the pubic bone. Can you start to lift the breastbone without letting the belly drop? Good, great. There's a lot of strength, a lot of awareness that you need right now. Lots of awareness. We want this. We want this to help support us as we transition. Inhale deeply. Exhale. Go ahead, take the elbows wide and release. Drop all the way down, forehead on the backs of the hands or the chin, whichever. All right, and then please slide your hands along your ribs. Inhale to all fours. Exhale, downward facing dog or puppy. Actively reaching forward, lengthening the rib cage back. Still connected to your breathing. With your next inhale, if you're in dog, lift the leg. Everyone, step the left foot forward. Inhale, upright. So your gaze might be at the horizon, or the gaze might be a little more upward. Let's inhale, take the arms out. Exhale, bow. Inhale, step forward. And exhale, fold forward. Inhale halfway. And exhale, fold. Inhale, come all the way up. And exhale your hands back in front of your heart. You might enjoy taking the hands right on the heart. In this place of where there is no doubt in the heart. Good. All right, and then we'll release that. Okay. Let's take a triangle pose. I want to just do a little more open through the side. So we'll step the feet wide apart. Turn the right foot out, left foot in. Block at the outer right shin. Maybe you set your other block up too, so it's over there, or maybe you want them both. When you're ready, inhale the arms back out. And exhale. As you go to triangle, I like to take my back hand on my hip as you come down. And then let's go into the throat. Draw this back inside. Start to turn through the thoracic spine, and maybe reach the arm up. And then let's inhale and come back up. And let's switch the feet. Second side. Inhale the arms out when you're ready. Exhale, triangle. Drawing back in the throat. Then I begin to turn through the thoracic spine. Maybe add my arm. Your next inhale, come up. Great. Exhale, release the arms. Let's step the feet back together and just take mountain pose. So just noticing in your mountain pose, where's the weight falling into your feet? If you feel more weight toward the toes, then draw from this place at the throat. Start there just to experiment. And then we'll let that go. Okay, great. All right, I want to do like the kind of flying Salabhasana pose. So if we take Salabhasana, we take 2 blocks end to end for Salabhasana. And if you'll take a blanket over the top of that, let's do 2 blankets. Ta-da. more height. Why not? You're going to come down, and then when you lie across these blocks on your belly, the pubic bone is on the blocks. Toes I have tucked under. We'll do more than one. I have my hands on the floor to start. Okay, so I'm going to go into that place in the throat and draw it back in my throat. When I do, I already feel my chest begin to rise. Then I'm going to lift my legs and take the arms back, palms facing the midline. Inner thighs toned. And then exhale, release everything. Make something to rest your forehead on. Knees come back to the ground, resting. And of course, if any of you have any questions, anytime, just feel free to ask. All right, let's take another one. So place the hands on the ground along the ribs so you have that support. Tuck the toes under, straighten the legs. Bring your awareness, felt sense, right into that area below the jaw, in the front of the throat, and draw that back. Right there, do you feel the chest begin to lift? So then can you keep lifting it? Keep lifting it, keep lifting the breastbone out to the collarbones. Pick the legs up from the inner thighs tone, arms out. Salabhasana. And release. We're going to take hands to the ground and press up and back to child's pose. You can rest your forehead on your little staff. Okay, and then walk yourself back. All right, so let's take this and we're going to turn it into a bridge pose. We're going to take away one of the blankets. I'm going to know where my blocks are. I'm going to have them available. And I'm going to bring my one of my blankets. I'm going to fold it lengthwise. That's going to go under my shoulders. I have to make sure you can see me. I can't tell if you can. Oh yeah, you kind of can, can't you? Okay. So I want to know where my strap is. And I'm going to make a loop in the strap. That's going to be, probably slightly narrower than my arm bones are. A little narrower than my arm bones. So I want to know where that is. Then, when I come down to the ground, I'm going to have my shoulders on the blanket, my head on the floor. C7, the base of my neck, is on my blanket, and my shoulders. But the rest of my neck is free floating. Okay? So first, we're going to do a supported bridge. So I'm going to want my blocks. Where are they? Come back here. So press into both feet. Lift the hips up, and there's one block under the pelvis, under the sacrum, under the bony pelvis. Then I'm going to take block number 2. Press it in my shoulders, press it in my feet, and take my second block. Again, I want, if 2 blocks is too many, just use 1. Or use 1 and a blanket or something like that. Then I'm going to take my strap, and I'm going to take my strap between my block and my feet. And I kind of have to, I notice I have to make my strap a teeny bit bigger. I've made it a little small, but I don't want to go too big because I want to be able to press out on the strap. I'm going to draw the hyoid back a little. That doesn't mean that my neck is touching the ground. It's giving me a little more ability just to lift the heart. Lift the heart, breastbone, pressing out on the strap. Broad across the upper chest. Similar to the one you did it when you were either seated in the chair or seated on the ground. And then I'm going to release for a moment. I'm going to kind of rest here. Because I noticed I had the sense that I could actually have a little more height under my pelvis. You might not have that sense. You might have everything just right and be happy doing it again at that same height. I notice in my own body that I would probably like just a little more height under the back of my pelvis. I don't feel anything in my low back. Everything feels safe. So, hands are in the strap. Heels are under my knees. And once again, I'm going to press out on the strap and lift the top of the breastbone. Press the tops of the shoulders into the blanket. I could stay here, or I might pick up one knee, then the other. Maybe I'm happy here with just the thighs vertical because I still want a slight back bend. Maybe I have the length in the hamstrings that'll let my legs go straight and keep the shape of my lumbar spine the same. Keep lifting the heart. And then we'll bend both knees if the legs are up. We'll bring the toes back to the floor. Take the hands out of the strap. Lift off of one block if you've got 2 and come down to 1. And then we can pick the pelvis up off of that block, lift the back of the head, walk towards your blanket, slide your blanket to go under your pelvis, palms to the sky, and rest. So I've got my knees bent, feet are on the floor. Pelvis is just slightly higher. All right, that feels good. So let's go ahead and take the blanket away and put the pelvis on the ground. Let's cross the right outer heel to the top of the left knee. Right outer heel, little toe side of the foot. top of the left knee. And we'll take the arms wide. And then with your next exhale, go ahead and tilt the lower body toward the left. And the foot can either find the ground, a block, a blanket. I like the foot to have something to rest on. And the back of the right shoulder is on the floor. You might slide the right arm up a little bit alongside the right ear. You might take the left hand to grab onto the right ankle. All right, let's come back up to center. And let's switch sides. So, outer left heel, little toe sides at the top of the right thigh, arms are wide, and I'm tilting my lower body to the right. And if my hip won't allow my foot to go all the way to the floor, I'm going to put a block under my foot or a blanket under my foot. I like taking my left shin towards vertical. I might slide my left arm up if my shoulder's okay with that. And I might take my right hand to my left ankle. Then I want to use my exhale to help me rest into my back body. A deep breath in, and let's exhale and come back up to center. Arms back wide, and do the legs. Come back to just check and see if you're lined up. Pubic bone, navel, heart, throat, third eye. Great. All right. Let's roll over to one side. Use your arms, push yourself up to sitting. And then, can you take your 2 blocks that you had end to end earlier? And you put another blanket on there. Or if you have a bolster, you put a bolster up there. Another blanket. If you have another blanket, put it on top. Make this stack tall. Okay? A tall stack. If this doesn't become tall enough, you could always use the seat of the chair. Right? So I've got 2 blocks. I have 2 blocks and 3 blankets. I happen to have 4 blankets. I'm going to go for it. Otherwise, I could use the seat of the chair in the same way. So that when I come down, I'm going to go either close to my chair seat or close to my stack. And I'm going to take the legs in Baddha Konasana, but I want the shins to be supported. And the feet, they don't have to be completely touching. I'm going to rest them a little bit. I could, if I wanted, I could take just the tail of my strap, take it around my feet, and just hold that a little. That might feel really nice. So So I could have the legs up on the seat of the chair with the feet hooked through the back of the chair and the knees out wide. That would be another option. Just resting for a couple of moments. We're not headed to, we're not in Shavasana yet, unless you really love this. All right. So if I have my strap, I'm going to bring my knees up, take the strap off, bring the knees together. And all of us, if you have your legs on the chair, you could just take the calves up on the seat of the chair and rest them. The rest of us might put our legs over our little stack and let it just kind of tilt in a certain way. That feels restful. It is always hard to believe that the courageous step is so close to us, that it is closer than we ever could imagine, that in fact, we already know what it is, that the step is simpler, more radical than we had thought. Just sitting down to the desk, just picking up the instrument or the phone, which is why we so often prefer to live in an almost world, why we prefer the story to be more elaborate, our identities to be safely clouded by fear, why we want the horizon to remain always in the distance, the promise never fully and simply made, the essay longer than it needs to be, and the answer safely in the realm of impossibility. It's allowing your breath to deepen. And gently awakening your body to movement. And bending one knee at a time, roll over to one side. And just taking your time as you come back up to sitting. Bring your hands in front of your heart. Namaste. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much. You're welcome to ask a question if you have one.